This video is for Chapter 4, Section 2. We're looking at questions 21 through 24, and for this one we have to first build the table based on the description they gave us, and then we can start answering questions. So to build the table, we have people that either use or do not use. They either test positive or test negative. And the first thing that they tell us is that there's 143 subjects with positive test results. So that's the grand total for that first column. So there's 143 in total that tested positive, and they tell us that there are 24 with false positive. So a false positive is you test positive, but you're not a user. So there's 24 in this category. Well, if there's 24 that didn't, and we had a total of 143, if we go ahead and take the difference of those, that will give us how many were true positives. So 119 plus 24, there's our 143. The next part that they tell us is that there's 157 negative results, of which there are 3 false negatives. A false negative is when you actually do use drugs, but you test negative. So there's 3 there. And again, your true negatives are the people that don't use and tested negative, and that must be all the remaining people. So if we took the 157 and subtracted the 3 false negatives, then that gives us our remaining true negatives. And if we wanted the grand total here, we could just go ahead and take our 2 column totals there. So we're working with 300 grand total. And if we want all the people that use, we could add up those columns. And if we want all the people that don't use, we could add up those columns. So at this point, we have our table. Now we're ready to start answering questions, and I'm going to go ahead and get those things set up. And through the magic of video, we have the questions appearing here. So question 21, how many subjects are included in the study? That's our grand total amount. They're just asking for a count. Let's give it to them. 21b, how many subjects had a true negative result? A true negative is that when you don't use, that's how it turns out. There was 154 people that fit that description, and it isn't until question 21c that we get the question that asks a probability. So a probability of a true negative, that's going to be the number of people that had a true negative divided by the total. And if we want that in decimal form, we can go ahead and compute that, and then we would round that 3 significant digits, which would take it to there. 2 place values beyond the first non-zero. Question 22, if we randomly select one subject, they want us to find the probability that that subject either tested negative or they used. And instead of using the formal addition rule, I'm going to approach this one a little bit more intuitively. So if we want those that tested negative, that's those people. If we wanted those that used, that would be those. And that's who we want. We want to add up everything in these boxes here. So if we take a look at the column, there's 122 people, and in addition to that, we want those 154 people. So 122, 154, that's 276. So that's going to be our 276 divided by our 300 there. And if we wanted to do this using the formal addition rule, what we would do is we would go ahead and say, okay, we want all those that tested negative, that's 157. To that, we're going to add everybody who uses, that's 122. And then we're going to have to subtract what's in the overlap. And what's in the overlap is just those 3 people there. And then if we divide that by the 300, that will again give us our 276 out of 300, or our 92%. So whether you want to do it intuitively, whether you want to do it using the formal addition rule, they will both lead you to the same answer. Let's clear that out for the next one. And the next one, they ask for what's the probability that you either tested positive or you do not use. So everybody who tested positive, that's in the green there. Everybody that did not use, oh, let's do something a little bit different here. Let's go ahead and change the font color there. I think I like that better. Anyway, so we want everybody who fits both of those descriptions. So we want everybody there, everybody there, everybody there. And if we add up these 3 numbers, we're going to get 297 out of the 300 there. And if we compute that, we get 99% on the nose. And again, we could do this using the formal addition rule. We'd want everybody who tested positive, that's 143, along with everybody who did not use, that's 178. But those groups had an overlap of 24, so we have to subtract that back out. And then we could divide that by the 300. And again, that will give us our 99%. And here would be the danger of not subtracting out. The danger of double counting here is 143 plus 178 is going to be greater than 300. And a number greater than 300 divided by 300 is bigger than 1. Can you have a probability bigger than 1? No, you cannot. The last question is just find the probability that the subjects did not use marijuana. And to get that, not use marijuana, that's just the 178 out of the 300. And in decimal form, that's 59.3%, and we would want to go ahead and clean up that decimal there. So for everything here, I answered the computational questions. It was either a count question. If they're asking how many, that's just a count. When they ask for the probability, we found the probability. The interpretation questions we'll leave for another discussion.